Welcome to this week's show. Now, there are some people who like animals, and there are some people who actually positively dislike them. Now, we have two very well-known people who, by their own admission, do not like animals. And what we have done is we have persuaded them to take this little cat to stay with them as a house guest for 1 week. And we're going to see what happens. Aonghus, how are you?
I'm all right.
I have a little house guest here for you.
Yes. John, can I change my mind about this?
Aonghus, you're under control.
I'm not.
Don't have to worry.
Well, come in anyway. But
okay.
I'm not, honestly, I am really not looking forward to this. I wish I was, but I'm not.
Well, Aonghus and Billie, a house with no pets. Can you tell me why?
Well, I don't think either of us is very keen on animals.
That would be very true.
That would be the understatement.
I have no great love of animals, John. I know it's a terrible thing to say. I don't know whether it's because growing up at home we never had any animals, or because of the lifestyle that both Billie and I lead, which means that with Billie, as an actress, is leaving the house to go to a night performance or a morning rehearsal, and with me working in radio and television, and also musically, I'm gone at all hours of the day and night. So who would look after an animal, you know? Unless they're goldfish. Although my sister used to keep goldfish, but they kept dying, so that wasn't a good sign,
That's
really.
right,
You know?
that's right.
Well, as children, did you have a pet?
No, you were saying you thought we had a dog. I've no recollection of ever having
Sparky, I believe, but I don't think he lasted. I
No,
don't know
well,
why.
that would show that if we had, I have blotted it out of my mind. I think I must have got. I remember being scared by a dog when I was about 8 or 9. It didn't bite me, but I remember a standoff situation where I was frozen to the spot, couldn't move, and eventually. I was going to go to a swimming bath and I just turned around and went home. I was afraid to go past him. And I don't know whether that has stayed with me over the years. The next door neighbours went away for 2 weeks and they have either a gerbil or a hamster. I don't know what the difference is. That'll show you how much I know about animals. One of them yolks that looks like a rat anyway. And they asked us would we mind it or feed it. No, we said we'd feed it, but they brought it in. They had a box for it. So we put it in the garage and we were told that they can go for days without food, which suited us grand because we left it for days without food. We'd go out as few times as was needed, but once or twice. And you know that it makes a horrible squeaking. It brings back memories. But it got out and we couldn't get it back. I was terrified. I ended up standing at the utility door there saying, "He's not coming in here, but I'll try and catch him." We go shoot like Dinny trying to get the cows back into the field, and it took about 2 hours just to get him back in the box. We put in water. And we tried to clean out the droppings, but it wasn't very successful.
It was hard to tell the droppings from the food.
It was. They never asked us again. We lived in a bungalow in Sutton, and because I had loads of guitars and amplifiers, I chopped off the legs of my bed and built stilts and brought it up to about sort of 4 feet high so I could plough all this stuff in underneath the bed. And I remember being fast asleep one night, and the window obviously must have been open in the bedroom. As I say, it was a cottage. Or bungalow, whatever you want to call it. But the next thing, I woke up with a cat having landed straight on my face. So I woke up out of a deep sleep with this cat, right, and it terrified it. I mean, I leapt up out of the bed, and I think I tried to throw the cat through the window, but actually, you're talking about balance and poise and grace. It actually managed to glide and land and get through and get out. But I was absolutely terrified. I was shaken for a day or more after. I couldn't cope with that. I got an awful fright. I mean, can you imagine? I'm sure you loved them, but I mean, the thing landed on my face with these claws and everything. Or, I'm sure they're not claws, but they felt like claws. And it really was an awful fright. So maybe that has sort of stayed with me. And it seems ludicrous that a small animal like that should scare you, because I mean, I'm sure they're very loving and affectionate and gorgeous, but I just, at the moment, I have a difficulty. I don't know what I'll be like in a week's time.
You hear all this stuff about they go right back to Egyptian times, and there's a mysterious thing about them. And I feel also they're very independent. And I feel if I'm going to invest all this in an animal and really it's just going to go his own way, at least with your kids you get a return. What you put in you get back. I think there's a bit of that as well. But it's almost a physical phobia as well, I must admit, with the cats.
So you can feel the hair standing on the back of your neck?
Quite literally, yeah. Yeah.
You have reservations now at this stage, grave reservations about this particular experiment.
I'm actually scared that you're going to not come back. I mean, I am serious, you know. There'd be nothing I could do, you know.
I'd like to just let you be introduced to probably one of the most noble, the most regal, and probably one of the most beautiful species of animals that exists on our globe. And it's your ordinary, everyday cat. They have a style and a sense of movement and a sense of balance and a kind of a personality about them, which you're going to find irresistible by the end of a week.
That's a lovely speech, but they also have evil eyes. Look at him, he's looking at me. I'm sure
I
they're
know, he has lovely eyes. He has lovely green eyes.
Oh! Don't,
The
don't,
cat with
hang
the
on,
green eyes.
don't do this to me,
Okay,
pal.
now I'll let you just take him onto your...
You haven't been
lap.
through,
Okay.
you're
And let
great.
him sit there with you.
Is there a proper way to pick them up, or does it matter?
Well, he will let you know whether you're holding him correctly or not.
He loves you, Angus. Look, he wants to go to you.
Yep, good man. He'd be a touch of the Nancy Griffiths now, it'd be from a distance, I think.
So what's your immediate reaction to just that little bit of feeling and touch?
Well, as long as I know it's only for these few minutes, it's fine.
No, it's going to be lovely. It's going to be so good. It'll be like American television, everything will be fine. I'm sure it'll be grand. I am actually going to try because for Angus Oak's sake, particularly, you know. Oh, don't do this to me, pal, please. I'm trying hard.
Does that mean he likes you or he doesn't like you?
Well, he's just
Communicating.
expressing a viewpoint and...
How long will it take him to get used to us?
Well, you see,
Or doesn't he care?
he is actually going to train you rather than you train him.
Okay.
See, cats are such regal and noble creatures that they take control of the situation, and he will make you conform to what he wants you to do.
Will I try and hold him?
Yes, I think that would be a very good idea.
Why is he biting my hand?
Don't.
Hold on. Well, do you want to see if he now hold it. The more you grab him, the more he's biting my
Okay.
hand.
Oh, well
Well, I
then-
let him edge towards you. The only thing I will say is when he bites your hand, it does not hurt. It doesn't feel as if you're being bitten, if
Well,
you know what I mean.
he's only chewing,
Yeah. Oh, when he bites,
just
you
getting
know
a
it.
little taste.
I see. And to go to Uncle Angie. Do you let him find his own way?
That's grand.
No, he's utterly contented.
Yeah, that's one of us.
McAnally, what do you want?
I said I have a major problem,
I know that.
and I've had it for a long number of years.
We all know that.
As an experiment, there's a program being made in the autumn called Pet World, where they're looking after pets, various things like that. Well, anyway, they got on to me and said, listen, I believe you don't like animals. And I said, correct. And they said, well, look, how about if we gave yourself and your wife, Billy, a cat to look after for a week and see how you get on? And myself and Billy said, well, let's try. The film crew have arrived out this morning to film the cat, right?
Yeah, but
Except
it's dead.
No, well, it may be, but I hope it's not. Billy unfortunately left the window of the utility room open here in Port Marnock, and it's gone. And we haven't got it, so there's a full crew of film people waiting to make a movie with this cat, and it's not there.
Hiya, sorry to bother you. I just noticed that you have a cat in the garden there. I've lost a little cat. You haven't seen a stray, little small kitten by any chance, a black one?
No, I haven't.
If you see it, we're up the top of the road there. If you see it, it's... John, how would you describe it?
It's a little 14-week-old black cat with a little white tip on his tail and 4 little white paws. So if you see that, it may come to be attracted to food that you would put out for your cats, you know?
Yeah.
So if you do see it around, just take it in nice and quietly.
Right.
Okay?
I'd be very grateful if you do that. Thanks very much. Sorry to trouble you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Right, bye-bye.
We discovered it at 7:30 this morning. Angie went down and came back up and said, the cat's not there. And we said, don't be silly, he's in the garage. That happened another day, he's in the garage. But there he was, I feel extremely guilty that it's my fault, that he will come to some harm outside. And much the sort of feelings you'd have about a small child. I feel I was responsible for this animal, and he's gone, and he may be in danger. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
We've a problem. We've lost. We've a little kitten we're looking after.
Yes.
And he's vanished.
Yes.
So we're just wondering if by any chance you saw him or...
I'll keep my eye out for
Will
him.
you?
Yeah.
I haven't...
It's a small black kitten, approximately 14 weeks old,
Yes.
with a little white tip on his tail and 4 white paws.
I see.
Have you cats yourselves?
No, but there's a lot of cats around here.
So will you keep an eye
I
out?
will, certainly, yes.
Certainly, I warmed to the cat on a personal level, if I can put it that way, much more than I thought I would. The sweaty palms completely disappeared, and I got to like the cat as a cat. I suppose the major drawback, and I really can't put it any other way, was the crap. He did a bit, and he did in strange places around the house. I'd been given all the propaganda, not by you, I hasten to add, but by all my friends who are cat lovers, that cats are very clean animals and you won't see any. But mind you, I made one big mistake. One day, I had run out of cat food. I gave him tuna, against your advice. You made it very clear what he was to get to eat. 7:30 in the morning, I said, there's tuna down there, give him tuna. And he did get a tummy upset, which we subsequently sorted out. But having given him that, the crap became very proficient and appeared all over the place. And that really was the low point of the week for me. I mean, when he found the duvet, and he went in the duvet, and it went up the wall as well, that was that was the lowest point. That was downhill.
I would think that Billy got on better than I did. I managed to warm to him in so much that I made a very conscious effort to try and get over the hang-up that, as I think you could see last week, I had. So I would stroke him and try and talk to him or whatever. We christened him Whiskey. Aonghus all called him Whiskey because he said he was black and white or whatever. So I'd be stroking away, but I couldn't get over the fear. When he would jump up at me, I would always react negatively. So much so that the other night I came in from work, and it was about, I suppose it was 12:30, and I started to watch some television, and he jumped up on me, so I moved over to a different chair, and he ran over and jumped up on me again. And I just kept going over and back, and eventually, because I just couldn't take the idea of him jumping up with the claws and the eyes looking at me, that I stood in the middle of the sitting room watching the television. Now, I know you'd said he'd be the ruler of the home, but I didn't really believe you. But I ended up standing there like an idiot, trying to watch, and eventually I just turned the thing off and put him in the utility room and went to bed.
There's lots of kittens around here, so...
Yeah.
Will you keep
Yeah,
an
I
eye out,
will,
please?
certainly, yeah. Okay,
I'll
thanks
give you
a
a
lot.
shout later on.
Yeah,
Thanks
that's
very
great.
much.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
There is the aspect that cats do tend to wander, and cats do tend to move about. And I mean, it just has happened, and one has to have a slightly fatalistic approach to this. You know, you can't inflict self-blame on yourselves for this.
Although you can understand why we feel so bad about it, you know. I mean, it's not too much to expect if we can hang on to a cat for a week, you know.
Well, we've happy, smiling faces here, and we have a cat back. How did you get him back?
Well, John, do you know something? You were dead right. Do you remember you were saying last week that the old sort of bush telegraph, that the kids, the network of the kids would be able to find it? Well, as it happened, Aonghus Oak, using a bit of initiative, went up to the headmaster in the local school here in St Helens and asked him to put out a little message across the intercom to all the classes saying a little description of the cat. And as it happened, a fella in his own class recognised the description as being that of a cat which had arrived the previous day to a house. Now, funny enough, not 200 yards away as you had initially said, but I suppose a good part of a mile nearly.
He travelled a fair distance.
And he was down on Strand Road, so the people came up the following night with the cat. So he's back.
There was the big thing when he came back of, oh, will we keep him? And the initial feeling, we were really thrilled to get him back. And then he crapped again in the corner, and that sort of said, we said, not really, not really.
So the final decision has been made, so.
I think so, John.
You have accepted the fact that you're not really cat people, you're not really animal people.
We're not worthy of this cat.
The equation is not making sense. There's an incredible amount of effort going in on one side of the equation to try, and the other side is that it hasn't overcome the plus and minus. I'm still scared of him, and I still don't feel content and happy and able to. And don't do this to me, I'm doing good. John, I'll tell you one thing. Would you like to take the cat?
Okay, we'll take the cat. Here, kitty, you're grand. Now, how about that?
That's great. It's the best I've felt for 2 weeks.
Thanks, John. Okay, thank you very much, Aonghus. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
See you soon. Bye, cat.
See you. Okay, bye-bye. Well, cat, back to base.